Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to Let's Talk About It, Steph. Oh my goodness, this has been one heck of a week, and I hope y'all have been having a wonderful week. It's been crazy. Who has their jacket still out? I know I just put my jacket up, and I'm probably gonna have to take it back out again because this weather in Texas is like it's like our politics, bipolar as I don't know what. But I'm so happy to be here today. And we have some special guests that will be on as well. And we got some great topics to talk about as well. So, you want to know, okay, what's the topics? It's going to be power, policy, and the people. Who are the people? You're the people. So we're going to talk about all this crazy stuff that's going on, and hopefully we'll wind up learning something and be able to share the love all over the place. But I'm going to introduce my co-host Del Frey. He has been off and doing his thing, and then we're going to bring up a special guest who is running for Texas House District 106. So we need all the house districts we can possibly get. But I'm going to go ahead and bring on Dale so he can explain why he went on here last week. All right, y'all. Hi, Dale.
Hey, how you doing? Why wasn't I here last
Great.
week? I'm blanking now. The weeks and days are blurring together. Actually, no, that's right. Every first Wednesday of the month, I have my board meeting with the Frisco Democratic Club. Since I'm mentioning it, I'll plug them real quick. The Frisco Democratic Club is a club where we meet twice a month. We have a breakfast club that you can go to, and we also have a happy hour, which, by the way, will be this Friday at 7 p.m. at Jake's Burgers and Beer in Frisco, Texas. We're also endorsing our candidates. This is something that's really special for us. We're also a PAC, and so we not only endorse our candidates through our hearts and our feelings, but also monetarily as well. And so this is going to be the time of year. We do this once every 2 years before the general election and after the primaries. We endorse our candidates. And so we're very thrilled to see our candidates who are running for office, particularly in the Frisco area, and we're going to be supporting them in any and all means, in any ways that we can. But yeah, coming back to the podcast with Stephanie, it's good to see you again. And it's also good to see, speaking of Frisco candidates, we want to bring up a friend of ours. We're so happy he dedicated his time to take on Jared Patterson. Jared Patterson is our horrible, horrible state house representative in Westside, Frisco, Texas, along with many other parts along Denton County. But I'll let him explain that. His name is Joe Mays. Joe Mays, can you introduce yourself and tell us about your campaign?
I can. I'm happy to. Thank you, Dale. Thank you, Stephanie, for both of you having me on here today. I am Joe Mays. I am a Texas Democrat running for Texas House District 106, and I am primarily running. I am a veteran. I'm a small business owner. I am a former tech cybersecurity executive. I'm a husband and father. But most of all, I am fed up with the ruling party in Austin trying to convince us to continue to hire the people who've spent the last 30 years creating the problems. Now all of a sudden they want us to hire them to fix the problem. So, yeah, it's time for the folks who've spent the last 30 years causing the problems to go home, and it's time for us to step up and fix it.
Well, it is always great to see you and have you on the show. I look forward to getting in some good trouble with you tonight.
You got it. I'm with you.
Hey, it's always a blessing to be able to come on and be able to actually use our First Amendment right, and some of us like our Second Amendment rights as well too. You know, I chose my amendment number 13 because right now we are in a critical state of emergency that everyone who can vote needs to get out to go vote. So it's so important for us to protect our voting rights. So we're going to definitely talk about those things. But Joe, you had an interesting week, didn't you?
I did. It's been full. We met last week, last Thursday, I think. We met down in Carrollton with an entire panel of candidates, including Dale and Stephanie here. And Stephen Shook and Detrick DeBurr and Julie Evans and Will Robertson. I'm gonna forget somebody I know. Denise Wooten. Um, who am I forgetting? I think that was the panel. It was a whole group of folks. That's what kicked off the past 7 days. A lot of meetings, a lot of organizing, that kind of thing, and we are really getting ramped up starting to no Friday going block walking. I see somebody just dropped in on us. Hey, Katrina. Going block walking with Katrina Moore on Friday. And then we are going to Dallas for the Gina Hinojosa Dallas Block Party. We will be going both as our bookstore and as a candidate to sell banned books and to talk about why books are being challenged across the state of Texas, where they've been banned, and so yeah, it's we're ramping up for a very full weekend.
Okay, well, I am looking forward to all these great things that are happening. So I got places to go to bring the kids, huh?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Well, welcome back, Miss Katrina Moore, who is running for JP,
Woohoo!
Justice of Peace, y'all. Woo, woo. You know I have to do my. It is always amazing to have her on here. We're gonna let her get in here and talk about what's going on in her week, and then,
Oh my
of course,
goodness.
we'll jump into stuff. We're gonna smooth in. This is a smooth ride tonight. Oh,
Yeah,
come
no,
on, Katrina.
as you know, you all know, I'm always running from one place to the next, which is I don't mind being a superwoman. I was handling the work and dealing with the immigration cases. A lot of things going on in that world, as you all know, and so I'm glad to now switch over to this subject. But a lot of people are scared. A lot of people are looking for direction, of course, in a lot of different areas, but particularly in my practice in terms of immigration law. So just making it from the office. So thank you for your grace to get here, and I'm looking forward to this discussion so I can get some things out and about.
Woo. I'm so looking forward to what you have to say, Katrina. This is like Katrina's world. I've been waiting, waiting, waiting because I know you and Trista, y'all are going to be running for justice of peace. And with you as an active attorney, your hands are like knee deep in the stuff. So I know that you got a lot of inspiration to say to the people, and just prepare us because you know what? The gloves are off. It's time for us to wind up fighting back. And the best way that we can fight back is to do what?
Go to the vote.
We got to go vote, y'all.
Elect
So we're
Katrina.
going to, what'd you say, Joe?
Oh, the best thing we can do is elect Katrina.
That's
Justice,
right.
you all always hear me say justice is on the ballot, and it's not just in the justice of the peace; it's for every one of us. That is, I truly, in my heart, believe that is where we are. Oh, I can't wait! I'm like, you don't even understand. I'm
You, you,
excited about tonight. I'm excited to see you all. Thank you, Stephanie, for having me and being a part of this type of discussion. Okay.
oh, let me see what I got here for you.
Oh
When y'all hear that, you know Trina's coming up, but she got the drum rolling. She got lots to say because, okay, let's just go ahead and get started.
my God.
Y'all, do y'all know we're in trouble?
Mm.
Do
Hmm.
y'all know we just went past 1965? And those of y'all who don't know what 1965 is, that is when we actually was able to have the right to vote. That is when everything seemed like it was normal, but it wasn't normal, but it was normal until now. Here it is 2026, and nothing is normal anymore.
Hmm.
So, what our grandparents and parents fought for, guess what? We got to go back and do the same thing and protect the people's rights. The right to go vote, the right to go and voice your opinions. We got to go and defend the amendments because if we don't defend the amendments, they're going to take it away.
Mhm.
I-
And young people, that's under age, I'm going to say 30. If you do not understand the Constitution or even know how to read it, I suggest you download the Constitution, read the Constitution,
Mhm.
listen to, because I know y'all do a lot of audio stuff. Listen to the Constitution, but know the Constitution and the amendments so you'll understand why you got all of us seniors sitting up here fighting and trying to protect the rights, because there's a reason behind all this madness. And the madness is Epstein file don't want to get out. That's one of them.
Hmm.
Number two, they want women to have a lot of babies because they don't have enough workers. So they're making the senior citizens continue on working until they just die. That's basically what's going on, because they don't have enough workers, because they feel like you're not going to work because y'all were smart enough to find other ways to make money. So they need labor people. And we're going to talk about that. And we're going to talk to Joe about what his plans are, to what he wants to do to improve Texas, because I know he got a plan. Because you know what? He said he was a veteran. So
Here's the
let's not
thing.
even.
Here's the thing, Steph. When you were talking, the thing that really jumped out at me is my entire life, the sort of the rock, the stone cornerstone that we could rely on was the Constitution, and the changes there is a process, obviously, for amending the Constitution. The lift is very heavy. It's a very, I just asked the Equal Rights Amendment. The process by which to amend the Constitution is difficult. So it's a stable baseline or a stable foundation on which this country can run. When we start ignoring when we collectively as a country start ignoring the Bill of Rights and the amendments of the Constitution, as Detrick called them the other night, the Reformation amendments 13, 14, 15, when we start ignoring those as a country and just saying, yeah, not going to do them anymore, we're just going to push forward and let the Supreme Court overrule them. That's horrifying to me because that is supposed to be our foundation. I'm not an attorney, but to me, the Constitution has always been that rock on which we could depend. It was the yardstick by which we measured actions that the government or we as a people can take. So, yeah, it's a little baffling to me that that's the world we're living in today.
Let me tell you, Stephanie, what came to me when I was thinking about, I like metaphors. I'm a visual person. So I'm always thinking about the best way to make people really see, not hear what we say, right? And it came to me that what happened was we slept on a virus. A virus is something that spreads. It's something that if you don't get ahead of it, it'll keep growing, it'll keep festering, and it may be even become like sepsis, right? And what happened was we got comfortable. We got to the place where we got some of these things in place, and all of the people before us that did all the work they did died. And to me, this voting, the voting rights, the gerrymandering, the taking this away is stepping on the graves of all of those people and our ancestors that set this up for us. That's how I feel. This is a personal and it's a collective. And what we didn't do is we didn't finish it. You know how the doctor tells us to finish your antibiotics? Why do they tell
Yeah.
us to finish the antibiotics? Because if we don't finish it, the stronger bacteria stays, kills the weaker one, and they take over and come back even stronger than they were before. And that's exactly what is happening right now. We got comfortable. We didn't continue to think about each other. We didn't continue to push and solidify. We did not make sure we had leadership that continued. Look, tell me who, in terms of the great civil rights leaders, who did we raise up? We
Hmm.
don't mentor people. We just went and just did our own thing. We got a job, got in the system, and decided we're okay. And that selfishness, short-sightedness is that's what we did. And guess what? Because we did it, we have to clean it up.
Amen.
So we are the antidote, us. Those of us coming right now are the antidote to this virus that's trying to take us out. But guess what? Y'all tell me, what is not going to happen? We're not going to stop. We're not going to give up. We're going to keep going. We're going to raise up. We're going to get people to understand there's so much work to be done. And we can't get tired. And y'all, I've said this before. Dale's heard me say it. I'm tired. I know people are going to watch this and they're like, Katrina, I'm tired. I can't take it emotionally. Emotionally, it's just a lot. And I'm going to say, I'm going to acknowledge it, and I'm going to hand you a water bottle because I need you to hydrate. I need you to hydrate, because this is the long race. This is not a sprint. This is not a nice stroll where you're doing the long run with the cross country team. This is a 4x4. Each of us has a leg. Each of us has a role. Each of us has to get in the game and in the race. And we've got to be able to pass off the baton. And it is not for just this race. Like Joe always say, hey, Katrina's coming behind me. So-and-so's coming. Who's behind you and who's in front of you? We've got to lock arms like the baton and get this thing done. It's not an option. If we don't, the audacity of us to continue to be complacent at this point, the virus will take over. And I'm sorry, a lot of things, our rights are going to die. That's just the truth.
We're already seeing it, and you see it. Yeah, that's already happening.
Say it again, Joe.
I said, yeah, you see that every day in your day job, but it's happening already. These things are happening, and I love the analogy where we didn't finish our Katrina cylinder. When we need that antibiotic to come in and knock this virus out. The way I look at this is not this was not on my bingo card, but to your point, Katrina, my adult life is the period during which we began going backwards.
Yeah.
So it's my responsibility to step up and do my part, run that first leg of the 400, get the baton to the next person, because we got to clean up the mess we made. We can't leave this world to our kids and our grandkids.
Yeah, absolutely. I will say this, because I know the topic of conversation was the fight to protect voting rights. Of course, because we've seen what's happened recently with the Supreme Court ruling, the gerrymandering that's being done. We have tried to gerrymander, I believe it was Virginia, if I recall correctly, and the courts apparently kind of knocked that down.
Voted on by voters in Virginia.
Yes, that's a whole nother.
Yep.
Yeah.
Different.
And then there's when it comes to voting rights too. Another thing I want to plug real quick, because these are all things that are happening right now, but there is, unfortunately, I'm sorry to tell everyone this, but there's worse stuff coming up in the future. I want to talk about the SAVE Act, and I also want to remind people that there's actually 3 different SAVE Acts, if you will. There's I'm blanking on the specific names now. There's something like the Save America Act, then there's like a SAVE Act, and then there's something else. 2 of these 3 things that I'm talking about are stalled out in committee in the House, but one of them is in the U.S. Senate right now. And I want to be very clear on this, because I know a lot of people on my side of the aisle are saying, oh my goodness gracious, the SAVE Act that will make it so that a woman who changed her name when she got married will have to bring her birth certificate or passport or something like that. I got good news and bad news. The good news is that particular one, the one that disenfranchises women, is stalled out in the House committee. However, the bad news is the SAVE Act that it doesn't disenfranchise women, it disenfranchises young adults. That one is the one that is caught right now in the U.S. Senate. Should that bill pass, here's what that will do. It will make it so that, particularly in Texas, that your driver's license will not be good enough in order to register to vote. If you're already registered to vote, then you're registered to vote. But these young 16-year-olds, young adults generally, they tend to be 16 when they get their driver's license, probably expect to be able to register to vote in 2 years after that with their driver's license that they got. But that won't be the case should this bill pass. So that was something I want to flag, because we're seeing so many terrible things happening right now that are going right up against voting rights. I call it voter suppression. But the young adults are going to be the next target. And so it's very unfortunate to see. They're going to try to make it more difficult to vote. That's been their whole game all this time, and that's their next strategy with this next SAVE Act bill.
I have
You just said the next target. The young people have always been the target. That's one of the reasons why they decided to dummy down Texas. For some reason, and I love the state of Texas, but I don't like the leadership that we have here, and I don't like the legacy that we're leaving behind, because the legacy we're leaving behind is to make people dumb, is to make people not understand the history. Yesterday, I had the privilege to speak with a young man about the history. He's from California and they just moved here to Texas, and he doesn't understand why there's so much division, you know, out here, and especially in the north part of Texas, why the different races are not together. So they're listening, and it's very important for us as grown-ups to talk to these young folks and to explain to them about what's going on, and explain to them about the past, because I don't care what the hell Greg Abbott says, because he don't know shit. The problem that we're having, if you do not know history, you're going to repeat it. And that's exactly what we're doing right now. We're repeating history, not only here in Texas, we're repeating history throughout the country. And it's like, I don't know if people are snoring right now, they're asleep, or I don't know what's going on with our country, with people that know what's going on and won't step up and say anything. But I'm telling y'all, you have candidates that are stepping up, putting their necks on the line to be able to defend the Constitution, to be able to defend your rights to vote, to be able to defend your choices to make health decisions about your body. But we need your help. We cannot do anything without you going to that ballot this November, and not only this November, because we got an election coming up in May. We got another election coming up in June. Y'all have got to go. I don't care how low the ballot, the voting thing is, what we have to vote on. Go vote. Don't miss a vote. Go vote. Go vote at your local election. Go vote at your midterms. Please go vote. And if you have questions, ask somebody that knows what's going on. Look it up on Voters Right. Look it up.
I want
Katrina,
to
what you got?
I
Okay,
want
go
to
ahead.
comment real quick if I can. Can I comment on something Dale said?
Mhm.
Dale, you gave very specific information about the SAVE Act. And I think that right now in particular, that is absolutely critical because the world today can be overwhelming. When we start thinking about all of the horrific things that are happening, horrific to me, I'm not going to speak for anybody else, but just terrible things, like you said, going backwards step. But when we stop, take a step back and say, what are the specific issues? Let's not look at the boogeyman. And I always use the analogy of if you got a lizard standing on the back of your couch and you shine a flashlight on him and look at the wall, it looks like a dragon.
Yeah.
But if you look into the light, you see a lizard. Lizards are manageable, dragons are not. So it's really important for us to focus on the facts, not the fear, not all the horrific things that are happening, the overwhelmingness of it, but let's get down to the facts. And I love the way you presented the SAVE Act, Dale. That was exactly how we need to break these things down. Let's deal with the facts.
And I'll add to Dale what you were talking about with the young adults. Remember, one of the other provisions I believe that they have, and again, this is what we want you to do. Don't take our word for things. People have to stop doing that as well. Do it for yourself. Research for yourself. Confirm it for yourself. But one of the things that is, again, to take away the voice of young people, because this generation, the generation behind our kids, even like right here, right that's in between, they are not playing. They are what, no matter what side, they are serious about what they want, what they believe, and it's now about guiding them right in the right direction and educating them. So one of the things also to know is they're trying to end the mobile registration drives so that the voter, usually when they have the advocacy groups, right, they'll go to the high school, they go to the college students at the community events, the concerts, and the campus, like when they're in the quads. But under the SAVE Act, because it requires in-person presentation of highly sensitive documents, that was most likely is going to cause the drive to go down or be functionally impossible for a lot of these students that can't get to where they have to go.
The other thing about that is not only do we have to teach and educate the kids, we need to listen to them, because exactly what you just said, that that because you're hearing younger people that are facing that or that are concerned about that. So it's really important that we as especially those of us that are running for office are actually listening to hear the people that are around us.
Yeah, absolutely. And also to go into some further detail too, and this might be more of a thing a little bit for my position, but especially for your position as well, Joe. The way that the SAVE Act works, the way that it goes about trying to disenfranchise people to make it more difficult to vote, it's not specifically saying that the driver's license isn't enough. It's that you need to have a document that states and or proves that you are a resident of this country. And
A
that
citizen.
information, I'm sorry, a citizen, yes. And that information is not necessarily on every driver's license in the country. In fact, I think there's only less than a handful of states that actually have a driver's license that has that declaration on it. And Texas is not one of those states. So what's really important here is I would advocate for someone like a Joe Mays and our other candidates who are running for the state house to say that we should change the way that our driver's licenses look. We should say, all right, we should include this information on our driver's license. That's a way to try to mitigate away from the the SAVE Act and the way that they're going about this, right? Because the same thing with the other version of the SAVE Act, that version of the SAVE Act that's stuck in the committee in the House, the one that says like, oh, if a woman's name gets changed due to marriage, perhaps, and this may or may not be a good idea, but perhaps the maiden name can be put on the driver's license. That could help mitigate against that. I I did have a conversation with, well, I don't mean to drag this out, but I did have a conversation with one of my lawyer friends, and I was saying, man, I'm running to be the clerk, and I'm going to have access to a whole bunch of records. I wonder if I should, go through the records, identify the women in our county who have changed their name due to marriage and things like that. And he was warning me to be very, very careful with that, because some people change their name not because of marriage, but because they're trying to either hide from their ex or needs to distance themselves from a domestic abuse situation. There's all sorts of reasons people change their name, aside from just marriage, right? So it's a complicated issue, but definitely I would advocate for our state senators and state house members to add this to our driver's license.
I think I absolutely agree with you. This should be, if this is going to be a requirement, and it goes back to something you said last week, Dale, free and fair elections. We should not have additional costs incurred in order to vote. So at a minimum, if we're already requiring a fee for a driver's license, then let's roll that in together, that identification. But it's a little, it's a little frightening is probably too strong a word. But it's like, are we then saying, okay, well, yeah, we need to agree with this. Now we just have to figure out the mechanism by which we force this to happen. And I think, in my opinion, or my approach is going to always be to err on the side of the personal freedoms that are guaranteed and focus the mechanisms on making that real, as opposed to, finding a way to bend to the will of some crazy person that wants to block people from voting or make it as difficult as possible for people other than the moneyed class to vote. Men.
Yeah, well, y'all know the reason why they want to cause so much problems with the voting is because they know that there's a huge chance that they're going to lose their seats.
Hmm.
They can redistrict, and they know it's illegal for what they're doing, but they're going to do it anyway because, as this show I used to watch, and the young lady will always say, "Who gonna stop me?" So basically, You know what I'm talking about. Who gonna stop me? Guess what? We, the people, gonna stop you. We're gonna stop you from doing all this rigging that's going on. And I have to, send a shout out to my home state of Louisiana. When I tell you, they are really impressing me. The group of people that are
Yes.
standing up and they're going at it and they're
Um,
talking about it. Because when I lived out there, it wasn't that many adult men, especially black men, that were getting up, standing up, and fighting against the system. Now, my father was one of those that fought and spoke up and everything, and it was a lot behind that. But right now, here in 2026, I am so thrilled and so supportive of those that are standing up right now, that are trying to petition for the governor to be recalled, the president down in New Orleans to be recalled. I'm so happy to see that they are standing up and they went out in droves to go vote. So keep it up. Go vote, because you know what? The reason why they want to change all this districting is because your vote is valuable. It's so very valuable. So please, y'all, don't stop. Keep going. Go. All right, I'm off of that little soapbox there. I just wanted to give a shout out to Louisiana because I'm so proud of them for standing up for their rights. Y'all go.
I am, and I've been watching, and I was trying to figure out the. You should maybe Stephanie. What's the name of the clerk of court that won that, and then they ended up stopping him from being able to take office.
I am finna say Calvin Dawson.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
I
Yep.
might
Mr.
be wrong with
Dawson.
the last name. Yes.
And I don't know if Calvin Duncan. Duncan.
Yes.
Okay, I found it. So I don't know if y'all either of you are aware, Dale, or about this story. Are you aware already about this?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
That's one of the reasons why I'm so happy to see him standing up and not giving up, and the people backing him, because he won by over
Yeah,
63%.
it was 68. So he's an exonerated man who spent nearly 30 years wrongfully in prison. So we could start there, but we won't. He won by a landslide when he was exonerated. So exonerated meaning it's not that he went in and it was a technicality and he was he was charged with murder, a technicality, and then they came out, he got off. No. He literally fought himself, taught himself, fought. He ended up getting out after 30 years of being imprisoned wrongfully. He went back because he was talking about the records, Dale, about how they were in a landfill, like they had destroyed these records, and people, even where he was in one of the most notorious jails, there is in Louisiana. And
Angola.
yeah,
Ooh.
and they said that people couldn't even get their records to fight their cases. So he came out and said, okay, I know exactly where I need to run. Talking about the 4x4. This is where I can make a difference because I know now how everything works. He won in November 68% of the vote for the Orleans Parish Clerk of Criminal Court. But what happened was right before he was going to take office this May, they abolished his job by budget. So
Now make that make sense.
then that's the people voted this 68%. And so they're saying, "Oh, I didn't." Well, I mean, we didn't stop the vote. We just decided to get rid of the position altogether. So he was fighting. So I just wanted. So this is like for keeps, y'all. This fight, this is for keeps. Can you even believe that's happening? Yes, but no. Like I'm
Yeah.
shocked, but I'm not shocked.
Insane.
Come from being an ex-resident of Louisiana, that's my home state,
Hmm.
and watching as a little girl how they did things, how they move, I can believe it.
Hmm.
It's so many black men that are in Louisiana, that is in Angola right now, which is one of the hardest
Yes.
prisons. I say, besides what it said, the one in New York is one of the hardest ones down in the South.
Hmm.
Nobody wants to go to Angola.
Angola is
Nobody
glorious.
wants to be down there whatsoever, because it's a disgusting place down there. They don't treat their prisoners right. You got people that's going to be there that should have been out long time ago, they're still serving time. So dip, a lot of the attorneys that I know don't even want to practice or do anything in Louisiana because they do things completely different. They don't practice the same law that everybody else practice. They practice their own thing and they just do it because they want to. Because they can and they'll get away with it. Who gonna stop them? Because majority of the black men that are in Louisiana have a record on them, and those that don't are trying to, or maybe too scared to even stand up to fight against the system. But you gotta fight. You
They're
gotta fight.
fighting. They're fighting though.
Yeah.
There, they
They're fighting,
are.
Stephanie, and that's what we have to realize is that we keep thinking that we keep separate. Our country, and I love my country. Like you can talk about your child, nobody else can, right? You can talk about your child. I love my children, but I'm gonna call them out when they're wrong, right? I love America, so let's say that first. Let me just get that out there. People talk about you don't like America. I am a patriot all the way through from the beginning to the end. Okay, that's why I'm willing to do what I'm doing. But the culture has been designed to try to separate us and make everything different, right? You know the video where they say, "Do you see the bear?" Right? That video. Remember I put that in there for y'all. We got to be careful with the distractions. We are not separate. Don't think that you're right, that can't happen to you. Don't think that can't happen in your state, that in your community, even at the local level where your voice is usurped, where your voice is disregarded. And so, in order to fight, we have to make sure that when we're fighting, we're not just looking at us. We're looking at how we can help, I'm going to say, our brothers and sisters in other places because it's all connected. It's the United States of America.
Yeah,
Hey,
absolutely.
Katrina, you know what I had said last week? If you hurt me, you're gonna get hurt. We all hurting at the same time. But I'm gonna tell you something. There are people from different backgrounds, different ethnic groups that are saying, you know what, we're tired of y'all abusing our brothers and our sisters over here. So we're gonna join hands, lock in with them, and we're going down there. And that's what they're showing the folks down there in South Louisiana. They're showing them, hey, we're going to sign this petition and get you out of there because we don't like what you did.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
we keep coming together. What you got, Dale?
Oh yeah, I was gonna tag along with that because I know that we were talking about the justice system, and I'm gonna go to a quick story real quick because it's a little bit more local and it's about our justice system real quick. So it's not a tangent, but it's somewhat related. Um, Here in Denton County, we have a huge problem with our prison system. And to be specific in detail, here in Denton County, we have zero state prisons. We have zero federal prisons. We have one county prison. And we, the citizens of Denton, have been receiving quite a few lawsuits over our prison system here in Denton County. The latest one is the most egregious. This is the story of Heath Aaron Vanderventer. The 27-year-old was having a mental health crisis, so grandma didn't know what to do. She called 911. He got arrested. He got put in jail. I think it was less than 3 months later, he was found dead. The medical examiner officially ruled the cause of death was dehydration. A 27-year-old with no previous physical health conditions, was dead of dehydration. So now grandma's suing our county, and that of course means our property taxes go up. This is one of those things where I hate to say it, but being arrested in Denton County can be a death sentence. It's something that is happening under the watch of Sheriff Tracy Murphy and our Denton County Commissioners. So this kind of ties into Stephanie's race because Stephanie's running to be part of the Denton County Commissioners Court. There are two points of issue that we have that has led us to be in the reality that we're at. One is the underfunding of our Denton County prison system, and two is the manner in which our sheriff is running that prison system. So, and I say this too because I'm going to go off on another slight tangent, would be the 287G ICE contracting. This 287G is a contract between the county and ICE, and it deputizes local law enforcement as ICE. It's going to tie a little bit into Joe's race because the reason that counties in Texas are starting to adopt contracts with ICE is because the state legislature is forcing all counties in Texas to do so. Since that was done in the last cycle, that's the state House of Representatives and state senators. Now, the manner in which each county, and to the level to which each county contracts with ICE, and the details there is up to each county and also their sheriff. So I have this to say. One, 287G is bad. One, Joe, when you get up there to the State House, please get rid of this requirement for 287G. Stephanie, when you can, please defund 287G. Our Sheriff Tracy Murphy shows up to the Denton County Commissioner's Court constantly, I'd say at least once every 3 weeks, and try to pressure our sheriff into knocking this down a peg. And I just want to say that, because we were talking about justice, and in the justice system, if you get arrested, you're supposed to have your day in court. But if you die in holding, you're not receiving justice. You
Yeah,
can't
and here
have.
I didn't know we were going to justice, but this was my minor. 74% of the people incarcerated in Denton County Jail right now have not yet been convicted of a crime. Let me repeat that. 74%. That means they've been arrested, they can't afford bond, or the bond's been set too high, they haven't been able to come before the judge, before the court, they're not getting their day in court. 74% of the people incarcerated in Denton County Jail have not been convicted of a crime.
That's crazy. Yeah. Oh, I think I see that
You're muted,
Katrina's
Katrina.
trying to talk, but you're on mute, Katrina.
Trying to, I like to type and talk and do all
Oh
that
yeah.
stuff. I was saying that this goes back to what we talked about in terms of incentivizing and being careful too, right? With we're building these centers, the detention centers, these private prisons, private. It's an enterprise. I mean, there's a couple. This is when Stephanie, you said it. There's not something that's happened that's happening now that didn't happen before. You know what? Poll tax, having to pay for a passport you can't afford. Poll tax.
That's poll tax.
Right?
Yep.
Okay, now let's go to prison workers, right? The private prisons, they make money off of what? People being in the prisons by the bed. The incentive, we are
Plantation.
incentivizing, modern day. And I'm trying not to go hard on words right now because, like you said, we can take it there. But
It's a fine line between indentured and incarceration.
Yes, and slavery. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And so we have to really pay attention. And Dale, like you said, I love what you did because these are the type of spider webs that we have to put together so that when people say, well, how does that affect me? Why are they in jail? You hear people say all the time, they're in jail. Oh, they must have done something. But be careful. Be careful. You don't know what people walk. That's where they're going and what's happening to them. And so I think people do have to understand that property taxes are going to be related to lawsuits, even for the school districts, lawsuits. Somebody's paying for that, right? So we are impacted. Our pocketbooks are already stretched, or your man bag, if you prefer, but they're already stretched. And as we have people still making careless, fiscally irresponsible decisions that help their friends
Mhm.
do what they do, because like we said, it's really not about black, white, red. It's not. It's about the have and have nots. That's really what it's about. But they want us to think it's about between everybody at the bottom, but it's not. So I love, Dale, what you're saying about really understanding the connections and then understanding that we can look and see where we saw this before and where they're getting the playbook. The playbook isn't new. And so that means,
Yeah.
so going back to hope, if we already have the playbook, that means we can counter. We know what to do. The question is, do we have the heart? Do we have the tenacity, the resilience to do it? And I believe so. In Texas, I love Texas too. And I believe Texas, if anybody has it, Texans have it.
You know what, Katrina? I'm right there with you. Hold on. Let me give you your thing. Oh, I'm on the wrong mouse. There we go. I agree with everybody. Y'all, man, this is one of the reasons why I love doing Let's Talk About It stuff on Wednesdays because we get an opportunity to talk about politics in a whole different light. Yes, we talk about, hey, what our platforms are, and basically, we're always talking about Trump, but it's not so much Trump, y'all. It's your governors, it's your senators, it's your house people, your local reps that are doing it. The president is just a face of the country. What happens in your state is what happens throughout the country. So if you can control what's going on in your state, you can control the country. Because right now, Texas is leading the way for gerrymandering, which caused California to go and get some seats, which caused Kentucky, which caused Virginia, which caused Florida, which caused Michigan. Everybody is
Dominoes.
involved in this. She said spider web. Katrina said spider web. Basically, like I said earlier, what affects me, it affects you too. So when you try to get rid of me, guess what? You got other people that's going to be affected by getting rid of me because we're all locked in together. It's not like it was back in the 1900s or 1800s. Things have changed. We have grown. Now, the problem that we're having right now is that I like to call them dinosaurs. We got to get these dinosaurs out of office. And we have to put new blood in that think different, that want to adapt to change and make changes for the future. Because just like what Joe said, and I'm going to bring it back to Joe, we have to prepare for the future. All of us may have children or know some kids that are kind of a little nervous because I know a group, I work with a lot of them. And I'm telling you, the ones that's getting ready to turn 18, they're getting ready to graduate next week. They're nervous
Yes.
that come December, they're going to automatically be put into where they can be drafted. Now, y'all, I'm a soldier's wife and I'm also a mother of a soldier. That's the most scariest time as a mother
It ain't no
to have
picnic.
a child.
It's no picnic as a father either. I tell you, my dad was
It's not.
in Vietnam when I was growing up. Then I spent 20 years in the Air Force in Desert Storm and special operations. And it wasn't until my son was in Afghanistan that I got terrified of what was going on because I knew what it had been like when I was there. As a kid growing up, it's just what I knew. So I hear you there, Stephanie. As a parent of someone in the military, it's terrifying.
It is. Joe, I can tell you this. When my husband was in Iraqi Freedom, he was in Desert Storm, and I think it was another one that he was involved in. He's been involved in a lot of wars and pre-war things, right? I was okay with him, right? Because I knew he was mature enough, he was trained enough, he knew that he needed to come home and not leave me at home with all them kids. So he knew to come back home, right? But I was okay. I was nervous. I'm not going to say I wasn't nervous. I was nervous. But when you have a child,
You see,
it
you know
does
how many times you had to tell him to tie his damn shoes. Now he's gonna go off there
right.
carrying a gun? Hell no.
You know, I made this comment about one of the young people I know. I said, "Who in their right mind is gonna give you a gun?
You can't say
Who gonna give you a weapon?" But you know what? Hopefully, I call him Can't Get Right. So Can't Get Right got a weapon, and he's defending his country with everything he got. So, my prayers go out to our soldiers because they do not have an easy task at all. And I know I'm laughing, but
it's
y'all,
serious.
the serious thing is about it. If you have a young one, especially our young men, because that's who they're trying to recruit,
Mhm.
put your arms around them, tell them to get out to go vote, and we fight for them because that's how this is what we're going to have to do. 2026 is about it. He has his own little war going on. We have our inter war right here.
Right.
We have to fight to live. And that's what we got to do.
That's good.
So, y'all, we so far off a topic tonight, but I
No,
love
we're
it when
not. It's all
I
connected.
love it.
All of this is connected. See, that's the thing. We think we are, but that is so. It's so much going on that it's hard to know where one ends and another one starts, and that's how we feel like it's off topic. But it's all going back to rights, which is justice, which is right, which is righteous, which is it all goes back to that at the end of the day. And everybody's having their role. I you all talked about, and I'm going back to this why we're doing what we're doing, right? I want to be the person. Let me say this. You want somebody on your six. You want somebody who got your back, right? I've always been that person in my personal life, in my professional life. I am the one that you call at night. So I am the one that will come and be there no matter what. I don't have to tell anybody. I don't have to say it. I serve because that's the way I'm bred. That's the way I'm raised. And I want to be in the position that when somebody needs somebody, they can trust. Because right now people don't trust. They're not trusting from the top down. Especially in the local court, I want when you have to call and that protection order has to get signed. I want you to know you have somebody on the other side that is always stays ready, so she don't have to get ready. And then on top of that, that I understand that what decisions I make directly impact your life, your children's life, your household, your community. And you want people in positions that think like that are going to follow the law, going to apply it, but also understand the consequences of those decisions. And that's who we have a lot of us, but a lot of the other candidates that are coming, and we need the support, like you said, Stephanie, in order to get in those seats and do what we got to do. It's gonna directly affect people's lives. But it's so justice at the bottom. That's why I say turn it over, flip it over, go all the way down. Right? It's at the bottom, all the way to the top. That we got to make sure strategically that we're putting ourselves in position. So no, I'm sorry, we're on topic.
Plus, Katrina never sleeps.
I don't.
I know you don't.
Perfect job. Yeah,
Listen, Katrina, once we get into our roles, I'm quite sure none of us will be sleeping because we got a lot of stuff to fix
that's right.
from the bottom to the top. We got to go hard.
That's right.
Joe, let me ask you this question. May 15th is the day that we're supposed to go and is the last day we can go protest our taxes. And you mentioned taxes, and we're gonna throw in the education there because there will be a lot of lawsuits because the simple fact is our money is being held hostage that we agreed to pay, but it's not going where it's supposed to go. You, I'm gonna just call it as a House representative.
Mhm.
What can you do to fix this?
Here's where I'm going to start, and this is a topic. I'm going to try to get there in a direct line, but as my dad used to say, I have a tendency to go around my backside to get to my elbow. So bear with me. Um, I believe that for Texas to be healthy going forward, it's going to depend on three specific things. Number one is that we've got to have economic opportunity, the opportunity for people to, if you work hard in Texas, you should be able to make a life in Texas. So we need to have economic opportunities for all Texans, not just the privileged few. Number two, we've got to fight, and we've talked about this already tonight, we've got to fight and to defend the rights that are guaranteed by both the U.S. and Texas constitutions. The third one, and this is really, I think, generationally, it's absolutely critical, and that is providing a world-class education for all Texas students. Not just the privileged few. We have the money. Texas has the eighth largest economy in the world, not the country, the eighth largest in the world, and the second largest economy in the country. So we've got the resources. What we haven't had is the political will to make that investment. Now, I'm going to throw some numbers. Please bear with me. The national average for the amount of general fund state legislature dollars that go toward paying for public education across the state is about 44%. Texas, from the general fund, is only paying for about 34%. We're full 10 points behind the national average in what the legislature is paying for public education. The rest of that burden is being borne by property taxes across the state. So not only is the cost of and they're rerouting $1 billion this year for 93,000 students to be subsidized. Most of those that are already going to private schools, but 93,000 subsidies are going to be paid out of public dollars for private educational options. So, having said all of that, what we have to do is we have to find ways, and there are people who've got great ideas. This isn't an original Joe idea, but it's what I intend to do day one. If the 89th legislature went through and passed vouchers, the 90th legislature, of which I'll be a member, can very well pull those vouchers back and say, this was a bad idea, we got to undo this mess. The other piece of that is we're still not properly funding Texas schools. We should have a world-class education in all public schools. It should be fully funded. There is an option that's been proposed for a permanent endowment that will have a one-time seed fee or seeding from the existing rainy day fund, which has already reached its cap. They can't take any more dollars. So all the money that's coming from oil and natural gas that was destined for that rainy day fund is now going back into the general fund, which, oh, by the way, the legislature is not using to pay for public education. So that would add a third revenue stream. So step one is the legislature needs to step up, and we need to at least be spending the national average of 44%. Whatever the national average is, that's how much the state legislature needs to be contributing to public education. This permanent endowment would create another, in the first year, I think it's $623 million, please don't quote me on that, additional money that would go into the Texas public education. Those two steps would automatically reduce the property tax burden across the state that people are right now, just to keep the doors open and just to pay for the portable classrooms that are being used. That burden is continually growing by on the part of the property owners. The property taxes are paying for that. So that is my day one activity, is to step in there, submit legislation that will revoke the school vouchers. We should have zero public dollars paying for private schools. No objection to private schools. They're fine. There's nothing wrong with them, but they should not be paid for by public dollars. And then we've got to find a way to properly fund an education that will be the foundation of everything this state does going forward. That's my little soapbox.
Okay.
Your soapbox, Stephanie, that's mine.
Absolutely. And I want to add on to that too, because there's a couple of things in there that were really good that I heard. We are the 8th largest economy in the world behind France. And we have a surplus, a good problem to have. I want to show this graphic real quick, because every time we talk about the surplus, I want to show this. We have so much money in the bank, and this is our taxpayer money just sitting in the bank. We have the money to fund our public schools. We do. We just need to get the state legislature to allow the money to go to our public schools. Every time there was a push to have money go towards our public schools, they always linked that bill with a school voucher scam. And now we have the school voucher scam, and that's going to hurt us even more. By the way, just FYI real quick, you might notice that we jumped down from the 88th to the 89th legislature. That was alone solely due to Operation Lone Star. So if we can spend that much money on Operation Lone Star, I feel like we should be able to spend at least a fraction of that money on our public education system. But anyways, that was just something I wanted to plug real quick.
Again, it's not that the state doesn't have the money, it's that the state hasn't had the will to prioritize the education of our children as a foundational investment in the future of Texas.
Absolutely. But yeah, Stephanie, I'll pass it over to you, because I know we're running up on time. Oh, Stephanie, you're also on mute right now, by the way, so you got to click that little button. Happens to the best of us.
I muted myself, y'all. You know, that's one of the most scariest things right now is to know that we have the money, but we won't spend the money to take care of the most valuable thing that we have, and we won't invest in it. And it's our children. It's so important for us to invest in our children because they're our future leaders, they're our future farmers, they're our future pharmacists, they're our future biologists. But we refuse to educate them and invest in them because they're worth the investment. Parents is important regardless of what side you're on because we make bad decisions on our side too. We do. And we make bad decisions on the other side as well. A lot of it on the other side. But at the end of the day, y'all, we have to come together because what's going on is we're hurting our children. We're hurting the future because in what 20 years from now, some of us are going to be retiring. What kind of world are we going to leave for them? What are we going to be retiring to? Our Social Security is being drained on the backside because we let Doge get in there and sip out a lot of money and siphon it, send it elsewhere. You know, our children are not being taught how to write in cursive. Therefore, they don't even know how to read in cursive. So if it's something important like our Constitution, they don't know it because we failed to educate them. So parents, if the public school don't want to teach them and you know what they need to know in order to survive, we got to teach our own children.
I
And
do want to point something out, Stephanie.
go ahead.
Even though Texas is 47th in uh, per student public school funding across the United States, we're still in the top 10 graduating high school seniors. We're still graduating about 90% of the high school students that go through the Texas public school system. So somehow these teachers are taking money out of their pocket to buy Kleenex and glue and the basics, and they're still educating our children, but we're not making the investment to make sure that the schools are in place and that the resources are in place and that we've got the world-class education. There's a blueprint out there for doing this. We're not having to invent calculus here. But yeah, the public schools are delivering on their promise. It's time for the state to deliver on our promise to the schools.
I gotta speak. I gotta say something about this loophole. So when we do our statistics, so yes, the numbers look good, but then I'm going to ask you, can they read? You can graduate somebody, but what's our literacy rate for those that graduate? Number two, just like in the JP court where we only for truancy have two options. It's to either take them out of school or to take their driver's license. That's it. So what I have learned is that if it's take out of school and and the court does it, it doesn't count as a dropout for the schools. So whether or not they're following that child or making sure that child is doing what they have to do, and I'm not, of course, I love again. This is just something that we have to look at when we look at these numbers
Mhm.
because you got to follow what's happening. Like it's no, that doesn't seem to be consistent with what we're seeing, particularly in some areas of rural areas and inner city areas of Texas. What is that? How is that number that number? But we have so many kids that are illiterate.
Slipping through the crack. And
Yeah.
this is, I think, the a really important point. Almost all of these issues that we're talking about are not very simple elementary kind of A plus B equals C. These are nuanced, they're complex issues. When you're talking about a multi $10 million or $10 billion public education funding, or 9.5 billion, whatever it was this year, you're talking about these are extraordinarily complex issues. And you're absolutely right, Katrina. We can't ignore those that are slipping through the cracks. The ones that move that are being counted against the schools, uh, enrollment that have moved out of state with their parents, and the schools are having to hunt these folks down. It's bananas. So anyway, they're nuanced, and there's lots of work to be done. I'll shut up now.
No, you're good. Listen. That's why we call it Let's Talk About Stuff, because you get an opportunity to talk about stuff that you can't normally talk about in a forum. So you got a whole platform that you can talk about things. So Joe, I appreciate you with what you're saying. And Katrina, I just love you. I really do, because you come with some great knowledge, and we gotta spread it, because what we fail to realize is it's not about us. Dell, you almost in our little group. It's not about us. It's the ones that's behind us, the ones that's under 50. We have to make sure that we leave a future for them, because not only are we messing up financially, we're messing up the environment. There's a nasty virus. I heard one of y'all say something about a virus. There's a nasty virus that's going out there, and we're not prepared for it. You know, there are people out here in North Texas that are getting sick all over again, and they don't know what it is. They're saying, oh, it's a sinus infection. We need to invest in our students. We need to invest in our health system to make sure that we have the tools that we need to survive, because I'm concerned that we're going to wind up having a black plague or something that's going to come through, and it's going to wipe all of us out. And, I'm not going to get on conspiracy thing, but I do have some conspiracy things that thinking that a lot of this stuff is man-made to reduce population. But that's a whole nother subject that we're gonna stick with the voting rights. But y'all, we
Which
have to pay attention to what's going on and stop the fighting. If
which
you're
is
gonna fight for something, fight for people to go vote. Fight to make sure that we have the right candidates in those seats that's gonna fight for you and do the right thing. Not because of a paycheck. They're gonna actually show up and listen, study, research, and do the right thing for the people, because the people matter. They matter.
Third,
I'm gonna get off my soapbox.
I'm with you. No, preach, sis.
Yeah. I know we're also coming up to time, so did we want to advertise our campaigns one more time?
Yes, I do. Joe, I'm gonna let Katrina get up there, because Katrina gonna start it off, and Joe, I know you're gonna bring it in. Come on, Katrina.
Well, I'm so honored after just meeting the different candidates and the constituents, and to be able to be running and being the candidate for Justice of the Peace for Denton County for Precinct 2. And I'm running for Justice of the Peace because I believe justice, it isn't just about what happens in a courtroom. And that's what we were talking about today. It's about whether every person in our community has a real voice in our democracy. And right now, with the Supreme Court gutting voting rights protections, that voice is absolutely under attack. So I'm here today, and I'll be here. I'm looking for that tsunami in January to bridge the gap between the law and the people, and make sure that in my community, in our community, that they know that their rights still do matter, and to fight for fair representation at every level. And y'all know my acronym is FAIR, accessible, impartial, and respectful. Martin Luther King, I have two people I love to quote all the time. You're going to hear him pretty much probably consistently through the election. And that one of them is Dr. Martin Luther King. Injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere. So I just want to encourage people to hydrate. 4x4. Find your role, find what you can do, get out there, get the people in your household registered, and get the people outside for people. That's something we can tangibly do to make a difference, and know that we're in it for the long run. And I'm one of those people that believes that I may not see the final destination, and it doesn't bother me. But I know that I have the responsibility to leave a footprint that was better than it was when I got here. That's it.
Woo. Katrina, Miss Moore, Attorney Moore, when I tell you I'm so proud of you, and
Oh,
I've only met you, we've only known each other what this year,
yeah.
and I'm so amazed by you, and I really appreciate your effort and for you standing up for the rights of others and all the work that you are doing right now and even in the future because we need judges like yourself to be in office because there are so many kids that maybe they're not going to school because they don't have any lights on or the water is off or they don't have any food and they're tired. You know what? There are some kids that are actually working to help their parents pay the bill because their parents can't even afford to keep a roof over their head. So everybody in their household is working. And we need judges like yourself to be in office to take care of the people and do the right thing by the people. So I really appreciate you. And I want to tell you, you will always be my superhero.
Thank you.
Truth.
Now, we got Mr. Joe here. Joe, I'm so amazed by you. And I feel like that you and I will get in trouble.
Yeah. Good trouble.
Good job.
Good
John,
trouble.
John told us we are obligated to get in good trouble. And that's what I love about Katrina and all of you is in Katrina, I view it the same way that Katrina does, is this isn't optional. This wasn't on my bingo card. This wasn't my plan, but it's not optional at this point. Right now, we have an obligation to stand up, to right the ship, to start it moving in the right direction. We may not be at the final port for just debarkation, but it's our job to make sure that we're paddling in the right direction. And I stand back to back unwaveringly with Stephanie, with Katrina, with Dale, and all the other candidates, all the people that are standing up to turn our state into something where our children have a chance, where everybody's got opportunities. So we can always use all the help we can get. You can volunteer at my website, campaign website, joemaysfortexas.com. That's four spelled out. On all the socials, Joe Mays for Texas. Would love to have you. You can donate. Obviously, campaigns are expensive, but I care more about getting people involved and representing the people than I do about spending the dollars. So we'll spend what we get, but we're going to by God keep fighting till the very end. So Katrina, you are my inspiration. You know I love you, baby sister.
Y'all, I'm gonna tell y'all something.
What?
My father gave me a nickname and I didn't understand what it was until recently over the years. Y'all would not believe what my nickname was that he had.
What?
Spartacus.
I love it. Oh, stop it.
I, you know, as a young lady, I grew up and I'm like, why in the world would my dad call me something? That's a man. That's a man, right? And he fights and he's in a dress. That's what my thought was as a young adult, as a young kid. And then it took me to when I ran for Senate and all the stuff that I was doing, even before then, running, being one of the election judge and always trying to make sure people had a right to have a seat at the table, regardless of where they were at. And I understood my assignment. And all of us have an assignment. All of us are miniature Spartacus that are
Yes.
fighting for the people. We are all warriors. All of us need to be wearing that cape because you know what? At the end of the day, I believe come November 3rd, y'all gonna call me on November 4th and say, Stephanie, we did it. We did it.
Yes.
I want to hear that
Absolutely.
call. So we got to continue on fighting. And I appreciate each and every last one of y'all from being on here. And you always have a home. If you want to come on here and talk about your race, because I know it's going to be getting crazy soon, you have a spot, you have a platform to come on here where you can be yourself and, let's talk about it. Dale, I appreciate you so much. And the role that you're going to be playing in is very crucial. And people may take it for granted, but they don't understand. A county clerk is in control of a whole lot of things. And it's very important that we have the right person in these seats. We like to call them boots on the ground. We got to make sure we have the correct boots on the ground to do the job that is needed to be done to take care of the people. So, Dell, I want you to take this opportunity to not talk about anyone else and all those different projects. Dell, talk about your platform and what you stand for and what changes you want to make. Because it's all about you right now, Dell. Let's go.
I was thinking in my head exactly what I was going to talk about, and you said like, "Oh, don't talk about anyone else or your other projects." So I'm like, "No, I want to talk. I want to tell Joe Mays. I actually have more flyers that says "Do not vote for Jared Patterson," and if you can make it this Friday, then I will pass those along to you. And speaking of this Friday we have a happy hour with the Frisco Democratic Club. 7 p.m. Friday at Jake's Burgers and Beer. You come to friscodemocrats.org to find out more information there. I'll skip over Toastmasters and then talk about the county clerk real quick, since I know that it is very important. The county clerk, I was talking about the SAVE Act earlier, and the county clerk does oversee the passport offices. The county clerk can beg for funding from the Denton County Commissioner's Court. That will be my friend Stephanie here, Kansas Venezuela, Nick Pappas, to fund a program to socialize the cost for a passport. If any version of the SAVE Act passes, again, there's 3 different versions of those. The one that's caught in the U.S. Senate right now will disenfranchise young adults. It will make it so that a driver's license will not be enough to register to vote. You may need a passport in order to register to vote. I believe in the Constitution that says we're supposed to have free and fair elections. And if it costs you over $150 to register to vote, then that's not a free election, right? And I tell you what, $150 may not be a lot to you and me, but to those young adults, that could be a lot of money for them, right? So it's yet another barrier to democracy, another barrier to the American system of voting, where we're supposed to have this concept of free and fair elections that's literally written into our U.S. Constitution. So I believe it will be my personal mission to socialize the cost for a passport in order to mitigate these potential devastating legislation that may be coming down the pipeline. It's also the clerk of the Denton County Commissioner's Court, so Stephanie will essentially be my boss, along with Nick Pappas in Kansas Valenzuela as well. It will be an honor of my life to serve the County Commissioner's Court as your clerk and also the clerk of the county. Stephanie, passing it back off to you.
Oh, wow. Y'all know I love me some Dale, because Dale and I have been in this game for a long time. Feel like from running for Senate because we were pushed into it by our county chair.
When I when
to
I when I decided to run, the first phone call I got was Dale Frey. I'll never forget that, Dale. I can't tell you how much I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
he's one of those people that do a lot of things in the background and never puts out there what he actually does. So I'm trying to give him his flowers now, because he's worthy. He does a lot for the community. He does a lot for trying to make sure that people are getting representative. And I really do appreciate him. And Dale, you got my full. I usually don't endorse people and stuff, but I've been slipping and endorsing folks. So, Dale, I'm telling you right here, right now, May
Woo!
13th, 2026, Dale, you have my full support. I am endorsing you. Let's Talk About It. Steph is endorsing you. Stephanie Draper is endorsing you, because you are the man with the plan. And I know that you're going to do right by the people in Denton County. And Joe, Katrina, y'all, my heart is feeling funny right now. But guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna endorse both of y'all. I'm endorsing both of y'all because the simple fact is I love the way how you handle your business and how you push and how you're gonna make a change. And I believe in you. And people, when it's time for us to go out there to go vote, don't forget about our future judge, Katrina Moore. Don't forget about our future House representative, the Honorable Joe Mays.
Yes.
Do not forget about Dale Frey because if you in Denton County, Dale's gonna be all over y'all stuff, so you can't miss him. And I'm gonna say this here: if you're in Denton County in precinct 4, don't forget about your girl Stephanie, because I see
Woo!
you all the way from the rooter to the tutor. I don't care if you're in rural area. I'll come out there, but I don't like going out in the heat. But I'll come out there to represent you and give you what you need. And I will listen to the concerns that you have because I know all of our biggest concerns that we have is about our roles. And right now, my biggest concern, which should be yours too, is about our protecting our voting rights, access to be able to go vote anywhere in our county. That's what is needed. We need it. When we got to go fight for our rights because if we don't stand up, who will?
That's right.
So, y'all, thank y'all for coming on to Let's Talk About It Stuff. Y'all have my full 100% endorsement. I appreciate y'all. And whatever you need, let me know. I will go out there and block walk with y'all, whatever it is. But
Likewise.
hey, but make sure it's not 100 degrees. I don't do heat.
I'm gonna get a fan. I'm gonna get a fan. Put it around your neck.
We're going to have to do that. But
Look, I
thank
took
y'all.
all the excuses away. All of them.
Listen, the last time, let me tell you, for Juneteenth, now I wasn't campaigning, but I was in a sling. So we're out there in Fort Worth doing Juneteenth stuff, and I'm sitting up here like, oh my God, the boots on the ground, and Stephanie was almost on the ground. It was so hot. And I just felt like I just need to lay out. And my husband, like, this girl finna have a whole heat. So I know when you say water up, I thought about that. I need to
Hydrate.
make
That's
sure that
right.
Hydrate,
Hydrate.
hydrate,
Hydrate.
hydrate.
yes, we got to be hydrated, y'all. We got to. But once again, thank y'all so much, and it was
Thank
such
you.
a
Yes.
pleasure to have y'all on here. And I look forward to seeing y'all and working with y'all throughout this campaign season. So, y'all, I want to say this: if you are a candidate and you want to have a platform, reach out to me. Let's talk about it stuff. You can find me on Facebook. You can message me. You can email me at let's talk about it stuff at gmail.com if you want to come on here because we want to hear from you because the people want to know who they're voting for and why should they waste their time to go vote for you because that's what they're telling me. Why should we? So we're going to give them a reason. So I appreciate y'all for
Thank you,
coming on here.
Stephanie, for the platform. I really
Thank you.
appreciate what you're doing. This is wonderful. And Dale, I really appreciate you guys. I know we're getting off. Dale, I have to say it. He's so steady. It's like a steadiness, something about him. And his role, he just wherever he is, he brings that energy. Yes. And it is comforting, it is reassuring, and that's who we want to be as well in that position. So Dale, I just want you to know that I see you.
Absolutely. I appreciate you. And Steffi, should people like and subscribe?
Yes. Hey, if you like this segment, y'all, you see I'm having a moment right now. But if you like this segment, please make sure that you like, subscribe, and share because that's the only way that we'll be able to get more views, more people to come on out here. Y'all,
She's trying to get me into trouble. She's gonna get me in trouble. The fan.
I'm sitting up here dying.
I'm trying to give you some air. I'm trying to help you out, Stephanie.
I can take it. Y'all, My air conditioner is on 62 and my husband's about ready to go put on a coat.
It's
It's hot,
okay.
man.
It's okay. It's okay.
Love you guys.
All right.
Thank
Dale, I'll
y'all.
see
Love
you
y'all.
Friday.
Come on back.
See you Friday. All right.